Surprise, I'm not Alex. Unfortunately, Alex is stuck in transit. He couldn't make it, but when life throws a curveball at you, you just roll forward. We're going to do some live demos, so this is probably not the last one. We'll see. First things first, this is what we have in store for this particular session. Can I start by asking, how many of you were able to attend the morning session at 10 a.m.? Okay. So I was planning to go a little bit thin on framing and go deeper into some of the demos, but I'll recap some of the framing for you. So the backdrop of what we're going to talk about is hybrid work is here to stay. People's work habits have changed. The pandemic has come and gone, hopefully. But there's no going back to the old normal. It's the new normal. And people expect flexibility, and people expect different ways of being able to get their work done. At the same time, we can see how we interact and how we engage with people have been evolving. Like you go into the past few years, there used to be only audio. People used to call into meetings with bridges and event codes, and it would say, Steve has joined the meeting. And then we had audio and video. It was much richer. You could see people's facial expressions. And then we had screen share, and then PowerPoint Live, and it gets richer and richer. But we all know that the grid of videos that we get on our screen, that's not quite the end state, right? Because it's good at certain things, but has a lot of very hard limitations. Like imagine the conversations that you all have been having on the expo floor and others. We couldn't be doing that if we were all in one giant call, right? In a call, only one person gets to speak at a time and so on. So we know that there is more to evolve there. We need to make how we interact a little bit more flexible and a little bit more interactive. So how does Mesh fit into the picture? So our mission in Mesh is to bring people together and help them connect better using the power of AR and VR and shared experiences. And so this is going to be the theme that's going to be woven throughout the narrative that we will have today. And in our suite of offerings, we have two main buckets, but there's three of them. There's avatars, there's immersive spaces and teams. These are the two that we're going to talk about, that I'm going to talk about today. And then there's also hosting large-scale events and custom spaces. This was a topic this morning, and there's going to be a lightning session on this tomorrow. I'll have a slide at the end that tells you when. Let's start with avatars. So this is the question I asked earlier in the morning as well. How many times has it been that you are about to get into a meeting and you choose not to turn your video on? And even when you have a strong organizational culture of video, even then there's good reasons that you may not want to do that, because you don't feel camera ready for that 6 a.m. morning call. You might be having lunch at your desk, or you might have just had one too many video calls for the day and you're done, right? But we also feel that video and nothing is a false choice. And this is where avatars come into play, because avatars represent another mode of representation. And by leveraging avatars, you can join a meeting and you can be engaged and you can participate and you can have presence in the meeting without having to show video. And what we've done is we've integrated this really closely into the Teams client. So you don't have to go and download anything. You don't have to get additional licenses. You just go about your Teams meetings and avatars just work. And so instead of talking about it, let me just switch to my window over here and let's just walk through it together. Now, I will give you a disclaimer before doing this. Many of the experiences that you'll see require healthy bandwidth because they're downloading visual assets and environments and so on. And we have a lot of people on Wi-Fi over here. So if things take a little bit long, bear with me. It's just a practical limitation that we have. So here, this is the familiar pre-join screen. Video on, video off. But right next to it is this thing that says avatars. If you already have an avatar, you can simply select it and join the meeting as you would. And if you don't, you can easily click here and create an avatar. One thing that I like doing is I like to switch between my avatar and video, because sometimes when I'm not actively engaging, I just turn my avatar on. But when I am about to talk, I turn my video on. And it really helps if the avatar looks like what I look in that moment. And so one thing that I often try is make it wear the same things that I'm wearing right now. So I'm going to go right now, and I will edit my avatar. This is the customizer experience. This is also where you go to make it look more like you. So you can change the face shape, nose type, eyebrows, eye color, and so on. So this is our avatar customizer. And if I click customize over here, my head shape hasn't changed since the last time I updated this. So the only thing that has changed is what I'm wearing. So I'll just skip through hair type and other things. And this is actually the fun part. So right now, how about we give it a polo shirt, not quite the color that I have underneath, so maybe a darker shade of red. Maybe this one, a little bit darker. And as an outer layer, how about, okay, there's a lot of options over here. How about I filter down to jackets? Of the items over here, I think this is probably the closest, but it's not quite black. So let me pick a blue color. I think this is in the ballpark, right? So let me do this. I finished customizing, and I will go back to this meeting pre-join. And by the way, this customizer can be done at any time. You don't have to wait to be in a pre-join screen to load the customizer. You can do it anytime you want. So now if I load avatars, voila, it has been updated. And then I simply select this, I pick a background of my liking, and I join the meeting. So we'll go through with this. Right now, I'm the only one there, doesn't matter. But part of the integration with Teams, and this didn't work this morning, so fingers crossed. When you react, when someone says something funny, or when they boast about some of their achievements and you want to clap, the avatar actually acts it out. If you do a thumbs up, the avatar will do a thumbs up. And if you raise your hand, the avatar will actually raise its hand. And in some cases, I found that this gets more attention than a regular raised hand because it's kind of in your face. They see you, it's more prominent. And these are not the only reactions we have. We have this drop down over here next to the camera. So if you wanted to turn it on during a meeting, you can always go to the camera drop down, click on avatars. It's part of the video flyout because this really is, you can think of this not just as video, but as how you show up in that meeting. That includes video and avatar representations. So I'm going to turn this on. So the reactions that you saw, thumbs up, heart, applause, those are all of the things that are available in the Teams meeting U-bar. So if you use a Teams reaction, the avatar will act it out. But in addition to that, we also have a wide variety of additional gestures and emotes that the avatar can perform. So let's give it a try. Now that we've freshly launched Teams. Okay, we're back. So this is what we call the side panel. And as much as we love integrating with Teams, you can't stuff everything into every UI. Like there's efficiency, there's elegance that we need to have in maintaining the simplicity of our UX. So a lot of the advanced, more detailed controls, we tuck behind this side panel. So you've chosen to go down this side panel, and now we have the luxury to look at some of the more deeper items. So in addition to the reactions that I just showed you, we also have a whole bunch of them. In fact, we have quite a few of them. The good thing is that you don't need to be drowned out in this big set of things. What we allow is we allow users to pin the ones that are most useful to them. And here are the ones that I have pinned. Wave. Nodding. I think nodding yes and shaking head no are one of the more common ones. And this one is my personal favorite. I don't know how many times you would need to use it, but it happens often. And then you notice that we also built controls, and some of these are not exactly experimental, but we're always exploring ways to make things richer, more expressive, more interactive. So one of the things we've been working with is avatar mood. So you can see it's smiling right now. I'm usually not that cheerful. So maybe on a regular day, it might be closer to that. But you can set this to how pleasant or unpleasant you want the default avatar representation to be. And then the other thing is, in context of switching between video and avatar, not everybody, like my camera is not looking straight at me. Like I'm not looking straight into the camera. So we also provide these views of left, right, zoom in, zoom out. So I like to set it up just right, so when I'm going in and out of my avatar mode, it doesn't feel jarring. So it feels a little bit more natural. So I rely on this a lot, not only when I'm having lunch at my desk, but when I'm not engaging, but I want to maintain a social presence in the meeting itself. So this is available already. No premium license required unless your admin has disabled it, in which case find out who your admin is and go scream at them. But this should be in your Teams client right now. All right, so switching gears a little bit. I keep saying that all of this is good. Avatars, yeah, I leave time for questions at the end. Avatars in 2D are great, okay, fine. But you know what? We didn't build these to rescue people who don't want to be on video. We built these experiences so that you can have immersive experiences and open up new kinds of interactions. And they really show their power once you enter three-dimensional experiences with these avatars. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm in a Teams meeting right now. I happen to be the only one over here. In the morning session, we had other people join in, so it looked more like a normal, regular meeting. But if you click on View, there's this new option over here that showed up around January. We GA'd end of Jan, in which if you press this, it will now launch Mesh in context of the Teams meeting. One way to think about it is, you know how we can be on Teams calls remotely, but we can also be part of a Teams meeting through a conference room. Think of this as the equivalent of creating a conference room, a virtual conference room for this meeting, except that it's not a conference room and it doesn't need to be a conference room because now we have the flexibility to have any kind of environment we want. So this is where we are. And if there were people on the call, they would appear over here, just like a video grid. That video grid would appear over here. And if someone was sharing content, like a Word document or a PowerPoint deck, that deck would be presented over here. The point I'm trying to make is I have not left Teams and I have not left the meeting. This is just how I'm showing up in a room, just like people can gather in a conference room while other people are remote. The advantage of being in a room like this is that now other people can be in the room with you. And when they're in a space like this, it starts to feel like you're really there with them. And it's hard to, it's one thing to hear about it and see a screenshot, it's another to actually experience it. So in the morning session, we had other people join in immersive as well to give you a feel for it. And now when they're there, A, you're in a shared environment with them. B, we have this amazing thing called spatial audio. When we are having conversations in real life, it feels very natural because if you're to my right, I hear you from the right. If you're to my left, I hear you from my left. On a call, everything is multiplexed into a single stream, right? It works, but it's not natural. With spatial audio, it begins to feel a lot like, I'm in the same place as them. I see them right in front of me, and I hear them like I normally would. But you know what's even more powerful about spatial audio is the ability to fade out audio based on proximity. Like, just look at people behind you. Like, there's a conversation going on over there. There's a conversation going on over there. There's a conversation going on over there. And none of these conversations are interfering with each other for the very simple reason that they're too far apart. And that is what we light up in a virtual environment like Mesh. You can fluidly move in and out of conversations, talk to one person, turn around, talk to another person, and mingle, network, have breakouts, have mixers, the kinds of interactions that online calls are not good at, and they're not good at that because they weren't designed for that. But Mesh is designed for that. That's exactly what we're trying to solve over here. So spatial audio, virtual environment, these are the key ingredients that complete the puzzle, complete the story, and give you that feeling of co-presence to make you feel like you're actually there with the other person. And once you're there, and as you must have seen, once you interact with a person in real life, you kind of establish that trust, you establish that connection, and it makes it easier to even have virtual connections with them later once you've established that connection with them. So with Mesh, we're hoping that this connection building will become easier and easier. And the other thing I wanted to point out was, oftentimes when people think about VR or 3D, they assume we're talking about a headset. Note that I am not wearing a headset. I'm just using Teams on my desktop. It's true, when you wear a headset, that's probably the richest form of immersion that you will get. In fact, if you want to experience that firsthand, we have a booth right there, less than 20 spaces from us. We're giving free demos. So if you want to experience it, what it feels like in a headset, you'll put that on and you'll be transported into that world. You look around, you'll see the mountains, you'll see the birds flying, and you'll hear people around you. It's magical. It's hard to describe. But as good as a headset experience is, we don't require a headset. In fact, most of our users, the vast majority of our users, are not going to have headsets. So headsets are great, but they're optional. But this thing is built right into Teams. And I will re-emphasize, I have not left Teams. I have not even left the meeting. This chat pane is the meeting chat pane. This list of attendees, these buttons are all Teams meetings control. I can always go back to the gallery view with a click of a button. So I'll end this with the acknowledgement that, one aspect that sometimes we fall into the trap of describing things very functionally. So we talk about spatial audio, we talk about 3D environments, but sometimes what we forget is the emotional connection that it helps create. And I think that's at the heart of a lot of connections that we create as human beings. We have an opportunity to create experiences that are delightful, that resonate, that feel natural, but also help you form emotional connections with people. And I told the story in the morning that, back during the days of COVID, my old team did this big Teams meeting, 50 people on it. There was no mingling happening because it was a Teams meeting. But if we had Mesh back then, we would have connected. I would have walked up to this coworker that I hadn't met in months, and I said, "Hey, how's it going? How have you been?" Now I can. And again, you do not need premium license for this. You do not need any add-ons. You don't need to go anywhere else, install anything. It is built right into a Teams meeting. So we released this in January. It's been out for a few months. Still early days. Give it a try. We're looking forward to your feedback. And with that, let's transition to Q&A.
Do you have to have premium to get legs?
I was going to count how many questions I get before legs come up, but this is probably... We don't have legs in our experience today for a variety of reasons. And I think you must have heard this before. With your hands, we have forward-facing cameras that detect your fingers and your hand. And making some assumptions about the human anatomy, we can assume you have an elbow and a shoulder, and we can reverse engineer what your gestures are. But we don't have any cameras looking at your legs. And I think someone said it well recently, no legs is better than bad legs because that looks really weird. And also, it takes computational effort to render anything you have in that space. So we're kind of cutting our rendering power by half. So legs are useful, but they're currently not at the top of our list of things to work on.
In that immersive space you just showed, you had your avatar there. I was just curious, the other people in there, assuming they didn't have an avatar set up, what would you see?
So an avatar is currently a requirement to go into an immersive space.
They would have to have one, or you would still see.
They would have to have an avatar to be immersive. Now, that said, we are always looking for ways to reduce the friction, reduce the burden. So there's a couple of things I'll mention. One is we're trying to make it easier for you to get an avatar. We have a feature in preview called auto generation. It's in tap, I believe, right now, where you can simply take a picture there and then, or upload a photo, and it'll make an avatar that's close enough to what you are, and with some tweaks, you'll be there. So we want to make it easier to have that, but we're also exploring some ways about, okay, how could we get the user in, and then have them set up an avatar later. So there's a lot of explorations going on, but currently, yes, you have to have an avatar to get in there. Let's go there first, and I'll take your question.
When you have an avatar in a meeting, if you have recording enabled, what gets recorded?
Great question. So in this experience, this is where if someone was presenting content in a meeting, that would show up over here. It might be useful to think as a comparison to a physical conference room. So when you're in a physical conference room, there's microphones and cameras in the room. But if you wander off too far, if you walk into the hallway, you're out of range. The same principle applies over here, and that's shown by the purple boundary that you see on the floor over here. We call this the meeting zone. As long as you're in the meeting zone, people on the meeting can hear you, and you can hear them. But if you want to have fun, roasting marshmallows and whatnot, if you wander away too far, then you are out of the meeting zone, and then the meeting doesn't record you. So whatever happens inside the meeting zone gets recorded as part of Teams. But when you're outside, then it doesn't.
So that's in an immersive space. What if there's not an immersive space and it's just an avatar in replacement of your camera?
So the question is, if you're in a 2D meeting as an avatar, the way it works is that avatar is actually being transmitted as a video stream. So it's no different than someone transmitting their video stream into the meeting. So they'll show up in their tile, and it'll be recorded as, the whole gallery will be recorded as part of the video.
So then you're saying the avatar will get recorded along with the rest of the meeting context.
The avatar in the 2D experience, like right now you see my profile picture, but if I turn into my avatar and record this meeting, my avatar will get recorded, yes. Let's take that question, I will come to you.
Question, who can control going into the immersive space? Is it just the person who started the meeting, or can any of the users in the meeting start the immersion?
Anyone can start the immersion. And one of the realizations that we have on the team is if you show up into a conference room where you're the only one there, then what's the benefit of that? You could have just called in from your desk. Similarly, immersion is useful when other people are there in the immersive space with you. So we are working on ideas on how to bring more people in, how do we make it immersive by default, etc. So there's a lot of active explorations going on that front.
And it'd be kind of disruptive if someone gets that by accident, like while the meeting is going on.
So the counter question is that it might be disruptive. So when you change your view, that's only for your own self. So if I go immersive and you're still in the gallery view, only I went immersive. And you would still be in the gallery view. Now, I would like you to join me in the immersive view, but that's totally up to you.
Please give a huge round of applause. This was such a great session.